Hello and welcome to the first video of 666 rock, metal and movie reviews. Now I created this channel because one, because of the new coronavirus epidemic that's obviously affecting the whole world, and to pass a bit of time, do something a bit more interesting with my time, and also my love of heavy rock and metal music and of movies. And what I mainly like about when I see a YouTube video, I like usually lists like worst to best and reviews of music is my favourite type of video to watch. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on, and hopefully, if it all goes well, people will start watching. You can make some requests of things for me to review, and I'll watch a film or listen to some new music and review it for you. If you find it interesting enough, hopefully you will. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a worst to best of probably my favourite band over the last few years. It's Alter Bridge. So I've been to see this band probably every time they've come, probably apart from the first time they came to the UK. I didn't go and see them that time, but apart from then I've seen them every time they've come over here. And I think they're brilliant, melodic, some would say close to metal, hard rock metal band. Brilliant musicians, formed in Orlando, Florida in 2004. Of course, Brian Marshall on bass guitar, Scott Phillips on drums, the amazing Mark Tremonti on guitar, and Miles Kennedy. Well, what hasn't been said about Miles Kennedy? Excellent voice, excellent guitarist. So I'm going to do their worst to best, just studio albums. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on, just the studio albums. So, of course, they was formed out of a band called Creed. They was huge in America, and obviously a lot of people, especially rock and metal fans, don't like Creed. They sort of got a bad name about them because I suppose they're so commercial and so big. They made it big. I never was a fan of Creed. But I am obviously a fan of Alter Bridge. Some people say there's not a lot of difference between the bands, but to me there's a huge difference. It's more metallic sound, and straight away, as soon as I was hooked, as soon as I heard their first album. So I'm going to do worst to best. What's weird about this worst to best though for me is I've got a bottom two. There's 6 albums in total. The bottom 2, I've got a bottom 2, but the top 4 are very close. They could change, from one day to the next. The top 4 are so hard to find out what my favourite top 4 were. They are so close for different reasons. But I'll just go from the worst straight away, which was the worst album for me was The Last Hero. And that was released in 2016. Yet again, I don't think Alter Bridge have had a bad album, but this is, for me, the worst album for me. There's a few really good songs. I think the more melodic songs are the best. My Champion, You Will Be Remembered, Twilight are probably my favourites on the album. Some of the other songs, I think some of them are a bit too long. If you look at the album, the length of the tracks on the album, some of them 7-8 minutes long. But so I do like a long song, but I think they was going for this certain feel of epic sound, but it didn't quite work for me. So yeah, that's my least favourite album, The Last Hero. Next for me is their newest album, Walk the Sky. I was really impressed with the album actually when it came out. I was a bit worried because The Last Hero, I thought things were going downhill a bit, but I think they really picked up on this album, Walk the Sky. I like the introduction of the keyboards, even though they have used a bit of that in the past. I think after their live album at the Royal Albert Hall, I think it looked like they like that sound, and they try to bring that back a little bit. You can hear sounds of that concert in there and in the music with the orchestra. It sounds like an orchestra, a lot of it. Some of the Songs sound very 80s to me, and I'm a huge 80s fan, which you'll find out later on in more videos. But 80s rock music. But some of my favourites on there were, I liked In the Deep, Godspeed was really good. Pay No Mind, Walking on the Sky, some really good songs. But like I said, it's definitely, these two albums were definitely I could tell they were at the bottom. It was a clear bottom, the two out of the six. But these next four they're so good, like throughout each album, that it's very close. So number four for me. It's really hard this, but One Day Remains is probably my number four. The reason why it's hard is it's got so many classic tracks on this. Of course, it's what got me into Alter Bridge at the start, right from the start. As soon as I heard the album, I think some of the songs on there, obviously big songs they still play. Open Your Eyes, Broken Wings, In Loving Memory, Down to My Last, full of real classics. A lot of slow songs on there, real melodic. It's probably the most melodic album they've done. I love nearly every track on it, but something had to be my number four, and this was it. So hard though. Could have been easily a number two or three even, but today it's a number four. Right, number three. This is a lot of people's favourite album, and in the press especially, I was reading reviews of this, and it was saying it was their masterpiece and the best thing they've ever done. And without a doubt, a brilliant album. Probably the heaviest album. That's Fortress, 2013's Fortress. Like I said, this is probably a lot of fans' favourite album. The production is brilliant. It's so heavy, that easily the heaviest album they've done. And it's got probably some of my top favourite songs from them on it as well. Calm the Fire is such a classic, epic song. Water Rising, Fortress itself, Bleed It Dry, real brilliant album. And I think at that time, everything they released was top notch, like from beginning to end on every album, up until Fortress. I think it was definitely, like this was probably my number one when it came out. But obviously as time goes by, you start listening to more and you get more used to the album. This is where it stands with me, number three. Number two, right, so for me, number two is another one of obviously a fan favourite, and this was Blackbird. Love this album. Of course, the title track is an absolute classic, and it could actually be my favourite track of Alter Bridge of all time. The guitar solos in Blackbird, whenever I hear it live, especially when you hear Tremonti's guitar cutting on that second part of the solo, it just brings shivers down your spine. It is absolutely classic. I mean, I think it was obviously their sophomore effort, their second effort, wasn't it? So they was really finding their feet and where they was trying to, be as a band. And some of the songs that come off of it, Come to Life, Buried Alive, Coming Home, that's one of my favourite songs of theirs, which is a bit of I suppose underrated or a bit of a missed one from them. But love Coming Home. Of course, Watch Over You, which is still played live, regular. Brilliant album, Blackbird. Absolutely brilliant. I think, obviously, when I first got into the band and then I heard Blackbird, it was like, wow. I mean, this is really a special band. And they're going to be big. This is what I thought. And of course, in the UK, they hit the ground running, really, and they're really big in the UK. Sadly, not so much in America, but, yeah, brilliant album, Blackbird. And of course that leaves my number one album, and like I'm saying, this could, obviously the only one left, you know what it is, it's AB3. Now I couldn't stop listening to this album when it came out. Isolation, Ghost of Days Gone By, Show Me a Sign, which is another underrated song. Show Me a Sign, I think they played it once or twice live, and I think it could be up there with Blackbird and as one of my favourite songs by Alter Bridge. Absolutely brilliant. There's the classic Words Darker Than Their Wings, of course, where Mark Tremonti first did his vocals on the album, on their first album, like on the first time he used his vocals on an Alter Bridge album, and that was a real classic album from beginning to end. AB3 is full of brilliant songs, and of course it sort of seemed like they're, I don't know, lyrically it's very dark, whereas the new album Walk the Sky is like meant to be the reverse of, or the answer to AB3, where it's more uplifting. AB3 was, I suppose, more dark lyrics, but you know, I just think it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant album from beginning to end. So yeah, I'm saying that they've never really released a bad album. Alter Bridge, love them, absolutely love the band. My favourite modern band at the moment. I think that I do like the Tremonti solo stuff, just going off kilter a bit. Their solo stuff, because obviously they're involved in a lot of side projects, Tremonti and Miles Kennedy. I think Mark Tremonti's solo stuff is good. I do like it, although I sometimes think it sounds a bit samey. Some of his albums, especially the fast songs. As far as Miles Kennedy's concerned, I don't think it's done, maybe not done him any favours, but Alter Bridge any favours, his side project with them. I think it's altered his voice over time. Obviously he's got the best voice in rock without a doubt, but I think his voice has sometimes been affected, not as in losing his voice, but his style of singing sometimes, especially live. It's a bit controversial, this probably, but I think that sometimes where he does the Guns N' Roses songs, or used to, especially when they first did a lot of Guns N' Roses songs when he was with Slash, he incorporated that whine, the actual whine as I call it, a little bit live with Alter Bridge, and he has changed that a lot lately. I think he might have noticed that he was doing it a lot. Maybe looking back, if you watch the live at Wembley Blu-ray or DVD, you'll notice that his voice is very, at the time he was first singing with Slash, or a little bit after that, and he was incorporating that whine, and I think he might have looked back at that maybe and thought, you know, I'm better than that, and he's changed it quite a bit live. But I don't think, I'd prefer him to concentrate on just on the Alter Bridge stuff, but that's me because I prefer the band. So no, so yeah, again, let's just go back from, just give you a quick recap on my favourite to least favourite. No, 1, I've got AB3. Number 2, Blackbird. 3, Fortress. 4, One Day Remains. 5, Walk the Sky. And the last one, The Last Hero. Right, this is my first attempt at a video. I hope you enjoyed it. You can leave some comments at the bottom what your worst to best is, or best to worst. Of course, we've all got different opinions. It's just how I see the albums myself. And like I was saying, I could switch those top 4 around. Like one tomorrow, I could have a different favourite. You know, it just depends what day of the week it is, really. But I've definitely got the top 4, what I named, are the strongest for me, and the bottom 2 easily the weakest. Right, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.